Hey guys, you're watching Chaotic TV. I'm KO. We're bringing you the Game 3 of this VVZ Best of 5 from the NumericableCup. In the top left of Ohana, we see the red, well-mannered Zerg from Poland, I believe. He is Dimaga, playing for Team MTW, also Mortal Teamwork. And in the bottom right, we see his French opponent in this French tournament, playing for Team Evil Geniuses, formerly of the team that is hosting this tournament, actually Millennium. He is Stephano. This series is currently tied at 1-1, with Stephano going for the late game composition that was in Game 1, and Dimaga going for the tried and true method of mutilating Bane as a mid-game composition. Completely destroyed Stephano, picking off all of his infestors and supply capping him repeatedly with Overlord deaths. So we're going to have to see what really happens in this game. Stephano nor Dimaga going for a 10 pool to do some super early aggression or anything like that. They're just going to respect each other a little bit and go for a mid-game before any kind of aggression really happens. We're going to... Excuse me, I had to cough. We're going to have to see... Oh, Dimaga putting down his pool first, as he has done all 3 games so far. Stephano going for a hatch first like he did in Game 1, as opposed to the pool first that he did in Game 2, mimicking Dimaga. His pool first led into that early lair and early infestation pit. Dimaga's early pool goes for the early lair and mutas, but mutas isn't actually the best idea in this map, although there is plenty of view over the cliff here. There's actually not a lot of flying room for those mutalisks, and they actually have to hug an invisible wall right about here, and you really can't get past the left of my cursor with mutalisks or air units on this map. It's kind of an illusion how much space there is here. It would seem that there is plenty of space for an air attack, but Dimaga is going for the... both players are taking the normal divergent path towards that spawning pool hatch extractor setup, and around 18 both players are still just seeing what's what in this game. Now when it comes to these two players, we've seen Dimaga favoring the Zergling in the last game, and Stephano has always been known for his roach play. Now Hydralisks are coming back into a little bit of the meta, Stephano being a pioneer in that, and in this series we're going to have to see how if they continue to play a role. In the first game, the Hydralisks, were mass in number, over 30 for Stephano at one point, and at least over 20 for Dimaga. With, of course they're supported by roaches being the tanks of the Zerg army, because they shoot slow. They do enough damage on their own, but they really can't match up to a Roach army. If it's Roach v Roach Hydra is always going to win, just because in those early moments of battle, Hydralisks do so much DPS compared to a Roach. It's just not fair, kind of, right now. We see Speedling research coming out of Dimaga, but not out of Stephano. Stephano might be one to go for a bit of a Roach play. If he's skipping this metabolic boost, he's going to be as greedily economic as he can be. I say greedy because getting Zergling speed is one of those upgrades that is just safe to get it. If you have to make some emergency Zerglings, you're going to need them to be faster, just for some for position's sake. But we see some extra gases coming down out of Stephano. Is going to build number 4 right away, and Dimaga answers with gases of his own. Is he going to build 3 and 4 right now? But we don't see where they're going yet. But Stephano is actually going to go for a ground army with double upgrades, or is he simply using those 75 minerals that he saved from getting Speedling research to build a little bit of a wall? But Dimaga is going for a 3rd hatchery, which is going to increase his production and his economy. If it's not scouted by Stephano, Stephano sees it. I'm I completely missed that he already had an overlord there, and Dimaga has an overlord of his own to see if Stephano takes his own third base. The creep is already moving across the map for Stephano. He has that extra queen simply for that reason. He's got an extra 2 queens to continue that creep spread, and he's going to start building roaches right now. Excuse me, a roach warren right now. Both players have a roach warren on deck, and Stephano's actually using his queens to block off right here. Dimaga not going to kill those destructible rocks, because with even the smallest, the largest number of lings, unless that rocks is completely surrounded on both sides, it takes almost a minute to kill with lings, unless you have some roaches or hydras behind it helping out with the DPS. Now he's continuing to pace back and forth in front of Stephano's base. Stephano can't put any more creep tumors out because of these lings. They would just surround and completely kill off that creep tumor, and it would just be up to Stephano to move forward and put down another one. But he's going to move forward to try to pick off some of these lings and make it safe that his drone can get out, but it's not going to be able to. It's going to be transfused even, but it is target fired by Dimaga's Zerglings, and there's not going to be any quick hatchery down for Stephano. He had to be careful with these queens off creep. If there were any reinforcing Zerglings from Dimaga, he would have been able to surround and kill off these queens. But you see that 2 creep tumors were killed and a third canceled by Stephano. These queens are here to put down some more, but the roaches are already out on the map right now. Dimaga knows that Stephano put down a hatchery of his own, but Dimaga's hatchery has already got so much more mineral income that he's about 300 ahead in overall supply, mineral income compared to Stephano, and that is 4 roaches every minute that Stephano is not able to build. Now, if Dimaga keeps up his overlord production, he will be able to far surpass Stephano's roach production. Now, Stephano is going for a 2-1 upgrade right now. He just had 1 finish, I believe, and now he has to save up for Carapace level 2, which drops right now. But Dimaga is only going for 1 upgrade at a time in his evolution chamber, but he's getting a macro hatch down right now, and Stephano has yet to drop his, so the production for Dimaga with this fleshed out third base is going to be much better for that Zerg for the red Zerg player. And Stephano is trying to kill this overlord with his queen, but the morph into the overseer renews all of the life. As the same with weak Zerglings, if you morph them into banelings, they're going to get full life at the end of it. But Stephano steps forward. He's going to lose his queen because Dimaga has just plenty of roaches on hand to surround all of Stephano. Stephano comes back to join up with his meager Hydra force, and the creep is now trying to connect between these 2 bases. Dimaga is going to be able to use Stephano's creep against him, because without that positional advantage of Stephano, he's not going to be able to get the surround on units like he would against a Zerg or a Protoss. Now with these extra Hydras in the mix, he's going to start doing some real damage against Dimaga in any kind of setup. Dimaga is going to counteract the Hydralisk force with some Infestors and a 4th hatchery. A 4th base and on his 5th hatchery, and now Stephano's going to go for his own macro hatch. I just think he's a little bit behind Dimaga in this game. Now Stephano knows that there is a 4th base coming down right now, and he's going to have to try to take one of his own pretty soon after this macro hatch comes down, and he's going to be able to connect the creep here. And he continues to push his own creep out across the map, but he really needs to be careful because the infestor count for Dimaga is going to start creeping up. He's already got what is that called? Pathogen glands, excuse me, that's the word for it, for the ability for infestors to have a fungal right as they spawn, which is a huge bonus for any kind of infestor play. Now the unit count, since Dimaga is maxed, he's got 60 roaches on the map, only 2 infestors, but that is 16 Hydras and 25 roaches for Stephano. They are better upgraded at 2-2 as opposed to Dimaga's 0-1, but Dimaga's going to push across the map anyway. He's got a single Carapace coming down, but it's not going to be done at any time for this kind of push out. And these Hydralisks are in a bad spot right now. Stephano should have had them behind some roaches, but he's got a huge flank, and Stephano is still going to be able to take out and do some real damage to all of these forces. The huge flank and the upgrades are heavily in Stephano's favor, but the remax of 25 roaches on Dimaga's side are going to be able to push right into Stephano's base. Without the production on the same level, Stephano is going to be on the back foot. Dimaga's forces, there's just so many of them. He took out all of those high DPS Hydralisks before they were able to do the damage that they were hoping to do, and Stephano just takes a huge lead. Dimaga takes a huge lead in the supply count right now. He's trying to reinforce with his roaches, more of them streaming across the map, as you can see, and he's just going to continue to roll into Stephano's base using an Overseer to kill off the creep tumors that Stephano's so painstakingly put forward. Stephano running back to his own base, trying to wait for his own roaches to pop out. He's got 14 on the way, 8 more for Dimaga. Dimaga trying to remax, and he's about 40 supply ahead of Stephano right now. A big, even musket line, as it were, of these two players' roaches, and Dimaga just moves forward so that all of his back roaches can fire, and he just continues to push forward. Stephano, I don't think he can hold this, brother. He's going to lose his third hatchery right now. Dimaga just loves to snipe his third hatch. It's the third hatch of his opponent. Stephano's got so much better upgrades, but Dimaga's just got a huge number of roaches, and he's going to use it as Overseer to get that high ground vision. So that Stephano's roaches, even though they are on the high ground, they don't have the advantage of having high ground attack, and there's just not enough, and this is an actual choke point that's hurting Stephano. But oh my gosh, the loss of 60 supply right now. Well played from Stephano, and he just taps out. He knows that he can't hold this any longer. He has no larva, and he has no ability. I mean, he's got plenty of larva, but he's not going to have any ability by the time those roaches get out to save his third base, and he knows that if that third base falls, he's going to lose the game later. He's just going to lose it later. So he knows it's a lose-lose situation right now, and it's not bad manners to stay in the game, but it's kind of an inevitable loss. So he just taps out, and he says, I'm going to do better in the next game. So right now the series is in Dimaga's favor, 2-1. We're going to jump into Game 4 on Metropolis, actually. A map we haven't seen in a while. And from Chaotic TV, I am KO. I'm loving casting these ZVZs. We haven't done so many ZVZs at Chaotic TV yet, but these two awesome high-level players are giving us exciting play, and I can't wait for Game 4. So we're going to jump right into that. I'll see you soon. Cheers.